Good morning for this week from Brian
and Chris.
The Sight for Wight news for Friday the 18th of October 2019. Tuesday 22nd of October. Sue will be at our Place community drop-in session at the West Wight Community Centre in Mower Place, Freshwater. Come along to say hello between 10 a.m. and 12 noon and enjoy a free cup of tea or coffee. The swimming group are swimming at the Waterside Pool in Ryde from 8 p.m. till 8:45 p.m. The pool is closed to the public whilst the group swims. There are male and female volunteers to help you get in and out of the pool, as well as lifeguards to ensure your safety. To join the swimming group, please call Sight for Wight first to notify us of your swimming ability. You need to register with the office at Millbrook House first to be able to swim with the group.
Wednesday the 23rd of October. The weekly coffee morning will be held at Millbrook House this week from 10 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. There will also be our low vision drop-in between 10 a.m. and 12 noon. This is a weekly event to allow you to view and try the low vision equipment we have at Sight for Wight without the need for an appointment.
Thursday 24th of October. The Thursday social group are meeting at Millbrook House. The group meets from 10:30 a.m. till 2 p.m. With the help of volunteers, the group enjoy a number of activities, crosswords, catching up on news and trivia, knitting and crochet. They are currently making decorations for the Sight for Wight Christmas tree. This very friendly, mixed group also love to chat and enjoy lunch together. Later in the afternoon, volunteers come in and read to the group on different topics. If you would like to join the group, then please contact the charity on 522205.
Friday the 25th of October. The Striders group will be meeting for a walk from Freshwater to Ningwood. Lunch is booked for 1:15 p.m. at the Horse and Groom in Ningwood. If you would like to join the Striders group, then please contact the charity on 522205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk.
Any other news? Chris Kane, Marketing, Communications and Fundraising Manager, was the guest on Vectis Radio on Tuesday the 15th of October for the monthly Insight for Wight programme. You can listen to Chris later in the Talking News. 2020 Diaries and Calendars. It's time to order your VIP diaries and calendars. Please note that the suppliers of VIP diaries have now imposed a minimum number of orders that we place on your behalf. Therefore, we will place orders on the following dates: 21st of October, 11th of November, 25th of November, and then a final order on Wednesday the 3rd of December. Any orders after this date would need to be made directly by members to the diary company. Prices are as follows. Pocket Diary A6 with cover, week to a view, £5.75. Pocket Diary A6 insert only, week to a view, £5.30. Midi Diary A5, week to a view, £7.65. Jumbo Diary A4, week to a view, 2 days per page, £21. Desk Diary A4, week to a view, £9.45. Wall Hanging Calendar A3, £6.25. Wall Hanging Dates Reminder, £5.75. To place your order, please contact Laura Jasper, members@iwsb.org.uk, or phone 522205.
The West Wight Coffee and Chat, which takes place at the end of the Line Cafe in Freshwater, has now ended due to declining numbers. We apologise for any inconvenience. Possible new audio book group. Alistair has run the Freshwater Library audio book group for many years and is now looking to start a new one at Sandown Library. If you would be interested in joining the group, please contact Sandown Library on 402 748 with your name and contact details, and they will pass on your details to Alistair. Days and times to be arranged once we have an idea of interest. Please note that this group is not run by Sight for Wight. We are just advertising on Alistair's behalf. Christmas tree decorations. If any member would like to make a Christmas tree decoration for our tree to be displayed at Bryston Christmas Tree Festival in December, preferably in blue and gold, but not essential, then please either drop them off at Millbrook House or send in by the end of November. The Listening Book Group at Freshwater Library is keen for new members. Their next meeting is at the library at 11 a.m. on the 29th of October. Please pass this information on to anyone who is interested. If you would like more information, please call on 752 377 or send an email to anna.britton, that's BRITTON, at isleofwight.gov.uk.
Sight for Wight has the following donated second-hand items for sale. All items are in working order and are sold as seen. RNIB Pen Friend version 1 with instructions and labels, £25. Enhanced Vision Smart Reader with control handset, good used condition, £300. If you would like to view or purchase any of these items, please contact Laura Jasper, members@iwsb.org.uk, or phone the charity on 522205. Raffle tickets are now available for our annual raffle, which will be drawn on the 31st of October. The tickets are £1 each and come in a book of 5 tickets. Please contact Sight for Wight on 522205 or email enquiries@iwsb.org.uk if you would like to purchase tickets.
Visit to the Isle of Wight Distillery, Monday the 11th of November. Meet first at 11:30 a.m. at the Old Barracks Tea Room in Puckpool Park Ryde, followed by a talk and tasting at 12 noon for approximately 45 minutes to 1 hour at the Isle of Wight Distillery, Pondwell Ryde. No charge for the talk or tasting. Minibus transport may be available depending on location and will cost £2. The closing date for applications is Friday the 25th of October. Further details or to book your place, please contact Laura Jasper on 522205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk. Murder Mystery Night. Join us for an evening of murder and mystery at Millbrook House on Thursday the 31st of October at 6:30 p.m. Ticket price is £10, which includes a simple 2-course supper, a glass of wine, coffee and mints. We will also be drawing our annual summer raffle, so there's still a chance to buy a ticket and be in with a chance of winning some great prizes, including a first prize of £100 cash. Parking available via Castle Road, P0301DT. For booking inquiries, please contact Site for Wight on 522 205 or email fundraising@iwsb.org.uk.
This week's In Touch. Scotland bans parking on pavements. On the 10th of October, the Scottish Parliament passed a bill which, in part, bans parking on pavements. It is the first nationwide ban in the UK. Joe Irvine, Chief Executive Officer of the campaign group Living Streets, says it is a win for pedestrians and blind and partially sighted people. But how will it be enforced, and does it go far enough? What is it like listening to the streets at night if you're homeless? Hugh Huddy immersed himself in amongst rough sleepers in Cardiff and recorded what they hear all night. He tells Peter Wight what the experience taught him.
And now for the headline of the Isle of Wight County Press, Friday the 18th of October 2019. Green light for retail park. Major development for Newport. McDonald's, Aldi and Wickes. Fears for High Street. Councillor quits in protest. Abomination will hurt the High Street. Controversial plans for a huge new retail and leisure complex at St George's Park, Newport, have been approved, despite impassioned pleas for the application to be thrown out and the resignation of one councillor. The development, which had been recommended for approval by officers, was given the green light at the Isle of Wight Council's Planning Committee meeting on Tuesday. 5 members voted in favour of the plans, 2 voted against and 2 abstained. Ward Councillor for Newport Central, Councillor Julie Jones-Evans, was one of those who spoke against the out-of-town retail park. By approving it, she said the council had shown it did not care about the high street. She said, "This is an abomination. It is against our regeneration policy. Our high streets are dying. We want to regenerate our town centre. We need to put the heart and life and soul back into Newport." Following the vote, Councillor Jones-Evans resigned from the planning committee. The plans include 289 parking spaces and details for a McDonald's drive-through restaurant. Other big names rumoured for the development submitted by South Coast Leisure in November include Aldi and Wickes DIY. South Coast Leisure said the scheme would create 200 jobs. Newport and Carisbrooke Parish Council, which has strongly objected to the retail park, said it would be detrimental to the viability of Newport High Street. A representative from Asda, which has an adjacent store, said the supermarket was not afraid of competition, but argued the plans were fundamentally different from those originally submitted. Planning team leader at the council, Sarah Wilkinson, dismissed claims the new retail complex would have a significant impact on the town centre. She said impact assessments had been carried out showing it would only have a 4% impact. Councillor Jeff Brodie, Newport East Ward Councillor, said a safe lit footway along Pan Lane must be in place before any work starts. He added, "The football club has been moved from its home and I ask the new stadium is built and ready for use before building work starts. The football ground, home to Newport FC, will be demolished to make way for the development and the club relocated to a new stadium off the racecourse roundabout. Sponsored by Wight Fibre and called Wight Fibre Park."
Double yellow lines for Yarmouth Road. Double yellow lines will be painted on the main road into Yarmouth following repeated complaints about people parking there. Around 10 cars are parked on the stretch of road just past the Thorley turnoff every day, making it virtually impossible for two-way traffic to get past, which has led to accidents and confrontations between drivers. The newly formed Tennyson Road Accident Prevention Group, TRAP, last week delivered letters to 600 West Wight residents and 50 businesses in an attempt to resolve the problem. The letter stated, "It is creating a very dangerous situation for motorists and pedestrians alike. As a result, a number of residents have come together to persuade the Isle of Wight Council to act before there is a fatality. Accidents have already occurred and there have been several serious near misses. Cars and vans frequently lose wing mirrors." The council said it was aware of the issue and intended to paint double yellow lines on both sides of the road. A spokesperson said, "Officers from the authority's Highways Contract Management team have met with the local council member, Councillor Stuart Hutchison, and have agreed to apply for a temporary traffic order, TTO, to introduce double yellow lines and to restrict parking." Councillor Ian Ward, Cabinet Member for Infrastructure and Transport, said, "The safety of road users is always of utmost importance to us." Councillor Hutchinson told the county press, "Normally these restrictions are brought in following major accidents, and so far there have not been any. But we have taken into account this is an exception. It is an arterial road serving a major port. There is also a convoy effect, with the traffic coming into the town from Shellfleet traffic lights and vice versa when a ferry unloads. Taking all costs into account, we are looking at spending £15,000 to £16,000, all because of selfish people who are parking there. We hope to start the work as soon as we can, but it is all in hand."
Isle of Wight milk will pay farmers a fair price. A new brand of Isle of Wight milk will be launched next week to stop the loss of dairy farming and pay island farmers a fair price. From Monday, it will be available at co-op stores in Freshwater, Shanklin and Cowes at £1.50 for 2 litres. The idea was developed by Paul Griffin of Bridlesford Lodge Farm to protect the island's heritage, support farmers and reduce food miles. He said a number of farmers were close to bankruptcy as the price of milk had dropped to about half of what it costs to produce. Paul, the 4th generation of the Griffin family to run his farm, said, "We were looking at the loss on the Isle of Wight of milk. There wasn't going to be a dairy industry. Bridlesford has installed its own processing plant to produce its premium milk from Guernsey cows, with enough capacity to join forces with other farms, such as Reed's farm in Carisbrooke. Farmer Mark Reed, who has around 280 Friesian cows, said, 2016 was one of our worst years, as we were basically getting out of bed every day just to lose money. This brand is about working together and ensuring a future for our family and our farm. It gives us hope. Our main goal is to look after our cows. If you look after them, they will look after you." Matt Elliott, who looks after the local flavours range at Southern Co-op, said, "We are really excited and proud to be the first to sell it in our stores. There have been a number of small businesses we have supported, and we hope this will be another success story."
Wet seats but high spirits. More than 100 buses rolled up to the 6th annual Isle of Wight Classic Buses Beer and Walks event at the weekend, including one staunch vehicle that travelled from Belgium. Real ale enthusiasts and transport aficionados gathered at Newport Quay and the Bus Museum in Ryde to start 2 days of travelling and drinking. Organised and operated solely by volunteers, the event encompassed a wide range of routes delivered by more than 110 preserved buses and involving as many as 120 venues. It was probably the wettest event we've ever had, but that didn't deter people, said spokesperson Trevor Whelan. The majority of participants really got into the spirit of the event, dressing up in 1940s costumes, and we even had people sat on the open-top buses with their umbrellas. We had one vehicle travel more than 500 miles from Scotland to be here, and a continental visitor in the form of a Belgian-built bus. The event was not without its bumps in the road, however, with a number of boisterous, inebriated passengers and mechanical issues. In general, it was very well behaved, but there's always that small element that goes a bit too far, said Trevor. There was also a plea from organisers on the Saturday for people to respect the vehicles and their crews. They said, "We had a number of incidences on Saturday where this was not the case, and we were unhappy to have had this happen at our event." The weekend is a collaboration between the island's branch of the Campaign for Real Ale and the Isle of Wight Bus Museum, with buses involved dating from the 1930s through to the early years of the 21st century. A spokesperson said, "Thank you to all the passengers that braved the weather, to the 70-plus volunteers who acted as guides, marshals and programme sellers. We couldn't have done it without you." And also a massive thank you to all the owners and drivers who once again brought their wonderful buses down to the Isle of Wight.
Future of schools decided. Following ongoing protests and a potential judicial review, Isle of Wight councillors have voted on the future of primary schools in the West Wight. One is set to be closed and another relocated. The Council Cabinet last Thursday voted to close All Saints Primary Freshwater from August the 31st, 2020. Members also agreed Yarmouth C of E Primary School should be closed and relocated to the All Saints site. The move will effectively merge the two schools, reducing surplus primary school places in the West Wight. Cabinet members said the relocation of Yarmouth was a decision for the governors who reluctantly agreed it was the best way forward. The recommendations were approved by 8 out of 9 members. West Wight member Councillor Stuart Hutchinson, who previously voted against the plans, abstained. Education member Councillor Paul Brading said the council was working with the governing bodies, schools and the diocese to achieve its aims. He said it has been a long process, but rightfully so when we are putting children and education first. I am sure we will all share the ambition given to our children the best education and start in life, and the recommendations will start to do that. Councillor Claire Mosdell, Cabinet Member for Adult Social Care, Public Health and Housing, criticised comments made on social media, pointing to fighting between parents at Yarmouth and All Saints and calling for some posts to be taken down. A public notice will now be served to close All Saints. Following consultations, a further report will go to the Cabinet in January, where a final decision on All Saints will be made. An update will also be provided on a consultation carried out by the Yarmouth governors. After the meeting, Councillor Brading said he was delighted All Saints had achieved a good Ofsted rating, but it would not affect the decision to close it. He added, "A lot of comments were made that were pretty vile. This is children we are talking about and their education, which is the most important thing for their future."
Dennis loses 9 stone for skydive. An incredible weight loss ambition has been achieved to fulfill a charity skydive. Dennis Dance has lost nearly 9 stone, dropping from 24 stone to 15 stone to enable him to take on the challenge in honour of his late mother. Monica Dance died at just 55 5 years ago, and her son wanted to raise money for cancer charity Macmillan. Dennis, 35, of Newport, decided to take on his greatest fear, heights, by doing a skydive, but was told he couldn't do it because the maximum weight allowance was 15 stone. He weighed 24 stone, so rather than give up his dream, he used it as the catalyst to change his whole lifestyle and shed some weight. He started by tackling his mental health issues and anxiety, after which he was able to get a job in healthcare like his mum. He now does community care work and is on the bank at St Mary's Hospital as a healthcare assistant. He said, "With this type of work, the reward is huge. My end goal is now to become a mental health nurse. I've been through hell and back the last few years, but I went through therapy and it was superb, and I am now medication free. However, my therapy is ongoing and I will likely fight anxiety for years to come. I don't want to come across as a martyr, but if my own battles can help others, that's awesome." Dennis, a father of 2, then set about losing weight through exercise and by sticking to the keto diet. He said, "My diet has given me something positive to focus on. At Christmas, I was 21 stone, so it has been a big change. I'm aiming to do the skydive in 2020. His father-in-law, Nigel Pearce, who is registered blind and has MS, is aiming to do the skydive with him.
One of a kind, Jibra dies. A red-tailed monkey who was rescued from Israel and found a new home at the island's monkey haven has died. Staff have paid tribute to one of a kind, Dujibra, who died following numerous health problems. Dujibra was 24 when an illegal pet before he was confiscated by the authorities and brought to the haven 10 years ago. He was hugely overweight when he arrived, having been fed a diet of junk food, but soon slimmed down and was particularly dexterous. He even held the haven record for opening a jar of seeds faster than any other monkey in an unrivalled 20 seconds. Jibra had dramatic mood swings that led him being nicknamed Jekyll and Hyde by the keepers, who adored his feisty personality but would never go into the same enclosure as him due to his unpredictability. He resisted all attempts to pair him up with a mate. He probably thought he was human, not a monkey, due to the way he was brought up, says Monkey Haven founder Don Walser. However, a couple of years ago, we introduced him to the colobus monkeys as they lived together in the wild, and they just clicked. Dujibra became the king of the colobus monkeys and kept the others in line. They will feel the loss now, as we all do, Monkeys grieve just like humans do, but he passed away peacefully on Monday.
Shipbuilding Award win for Red Funnel. Red Funnel has won a prestigious Maritime 2050 award, recognising its contribution to supporting the British shipbuilding industry and championing the UK government's Maritime 2050 strategy, which seeks to maintain and strengthen the UK's position as a global maritime leader. Red Funnel was presented with the award at the Maritime UK Awards ceremony held at the Leonardo Royal Southampton Grand Harbour Hotel. Of Red Funnel's existing fleet of 7 ferries, 6 have been built in the UK. Most recently, Red Funnel awarded a £10 million contract to Camel Laird, based in Birkenhead on the River Mersey, to build its new freight ferry, Red Kestrel. Red Funnel's newest high-speed catamarans, Redjet 6 and Redjet 7, were built even closer to home at Wight shipyard in East Cowes. In addition to supporting UK shipbuilding, the award recognised that Red Funnel has helped to keep maintenance jobs in the UK. In April, the company signed a 3-year agreement with A&P Falmouth to service its vehicle ferries for routine maintenance. Fran Collins, Chief Executive of Red Funnel, said, "We are extremely delighted to receive this prestigious award as we continue to do our part to support the British maritime industry. We believe in the UK government's Maritime 2050 vision of keeping the UK as a leading global maritime nation, so we're particularly honoured to receive this accolade. Supporting the UK maritime economy is strongly embedded in the present-day ethos of Red Funnel, has been since we were founded back in 1861, and will continue to guide our actions in the future as we look to embrace new technologies towards a greener future." The award was presented by Nusrat Ghani, Maritime Minister at the Government's Department for Transport, and accepted by Red Funnel's Chief Financial Officer, Graham Barnettson.
No answers to Rhodes PFI questions. The Isle of Wight Council and Island Roads have been criticised for failing to provide performance data relating to the Highways PFI project. A presentation on the delivery of the contract was given to the Scrutiny Committee last Tuesday by project managers, who said they would need to take legal advice before answering some questions, as the issues were commercially confidential. Committee member Councillor Debbie Andre had asked which milestones had been met and when. The committee had also asked about fines imposed on Island Roads for non-delivery. Councillor Jeff Brodie, who said he had naively hoped for answers, said members' right to information had been denied. He said, "How can you scrutinise when you have no information, no performance data? We are not allowed to be given answers by our own officers. It seems to me a contract has been conducted in secret, away from the elected members of this committee and the public, because they have a right to know the failures of this contract."
Cancer patients rate their care. Cancer patients on the Isle of Wight have ranked St Mary's Hospital treatment as outstanding in 2 areas, but below the national average in 9 others. In the National Patient Survey 2018, looking at cancer patients' experience in hospitals, designed to monitor national progress and drive local improvements, 187 Isle of Wight patients gave their feedback on the care they had received at St Mary's. They gave the Isle of Wight NHS Trust an average score of 8.7 out of 10. The Trust was rated outstanding in 2 areas. Patients were given the name of the clinical nurse specialist who would support them through their treatment and told about access to free prescriptions. However, there were 9 areas in which the Trust fell below the national average, compared with only 2 in 2017. They included patients being told about the side effects of treatment, their overall trust in the doctors who treated them, which was 15% lower than the national average, and the nurses who looked after them. The Isle of Wight National NHS Trust has since said an action plan will be developed, led by the consultant lead cancer nurse. The results follow the Care Quality Commission's findings that the medical care patients received was inadequate.
New team takes reins at Butchers. Woodford and Son Family Butchers has started trading at its new site in Newport, having taken the reins from the retiring Greg Downer, whose family had been at the helm for 84 years. With the community saddened by the news of the prospective closure of the popular St James's Street Butchers, Woodford and Sons stepped in to take over, ensuring quality cuts remain available at the popular shop. Following the first day of trading, new owner Graham Hawkins said, "We had a busy first day and the local community gave us a really good response. We want to acknowledge the past while also embracing the future. So we've kept the layout similar but added items such as pies and stir-fry combinations to the shop. I would like to thank Greg for his years of excellence in this trade. We have inherited a business that has been superbly run for decades." Woodford and Sons has 3 generations of family running the businesses at their 2 locations, with Graham's grandsons, James and Matt Morris, running the Bembridge shop, while he oversees operations in Newport with granddaughter-in-law Bryony. James said, "The family would like to thank all our new and long-term customers and especially celebrity James Martin for the ongoing support. We will endeavour to continue supplying a high-quality product to the community."
£6 million funding bid to reopen Ryde Theatre. Ryde Town Council will bid for a £6 million lottery grant to redevelop Ryde Theatre. Members have unanimously agreed to submit an expression of interest to the Heritage Horizons Fund, which could unlock more than £6 million to redevelop the iconic Lynn Street building and benefit the town as a whole. They agreed the Town Council should take the lead on the project, with support from the Isle of Wight Council and local community groups. They further agreed to explore all options for the future ownership, operation and management of the building. Mayor of Ryde, Councillor Michael Lilly, said, "I am delighted Ryde Town Council has unanimously supported the expression of interest to the Heritage Horizons Fund to enable the development of Ryde Town Hall and Theatre. This is an amazing opportunity for the community of Ryde. I cannot wait until the doors finally open in the years to come."
And it's goodbye from Chris
and Brian.
This is Paul
and Sonara,
and we will start with Letter of the Week by Joe Davis, Newport. As I got ready to leave the island for my second year of university, I reflected on what has been a really great summer. One of the highlights was 2 weeks' work experience in the County Press newsroom. I had no idea what to expect when I turned up my first day in a pair of ill-fitting shoes, but from the moment I arrived I was incredibly impressed with the way the newspaper works. It was great to find out that my local paper is written by islanders, and all of the important decisions are made by islanders. I saw a team of journalists who are passionate about the Isle of Wight and about telling our stories, both good and bad. I was able to talk to a passionate, inspiring mental health campaigner about the work she is doing to end the stigma surrounding mental health in young men, cover an important debate among local politicians, and bring to light the story of a customer who felt as though they had been discriminated against on the basis of disability. Each of these stories were deeply important to islanders in different ways. It is for this reason that we have vested interest in seeing the survival of local journalism. Based on what I saw at the county press this summer, I think it's in good hands.
And this one from Richard Ferrara, FRIBA, FRSA of Bunchurch. Spend £800 million on Island Rail. I refer to the investment of £26 million from the public purse to save Island Line on the Isle of Wight. That represents an investment of £180 per inhabitant of the island, with its population of 145,000. If you take the cost of Crossrail 1 in London as £18 billion and spread it across the 9 million population of Greater London, that's £2,000 per inhabitant for that project alone. And Crossrail 1 represents only one of many transport projects serving London. For example, there have been, and continue to be, numerous upgrades of underground and overground lines. Extensions are underway on the underground, overground lines and the DLR, the construction of HS2 and a massive investment in buses. That aside, if you spent £2,000 per head on the Isle of Wight, which equates to £290 million, you could install a new light railway system linking Sandown to Newport and Cowes. If you doubled that figure, you could also build a new light rail line from Newport to Yarmouth and Freshwater. You could extend the Island Line from Shanklin to Wroxall and Ventnor, and at a stretch create a new system of small buses to collect and deliver residents to and from light rail stations. This level of investment is small change compared to the absurdly high cost of, say, building a twin-bore road tunnel from Gosport to the Isle of Wight with no other improvements. A road tunnel is an outdated, high-cost transport concept, and the increased traffic emerging from it would immediately cause gridlock across the island's road network. I propose an investment from central government funds of £600 to £800 million over 10 years for rail and bus-related infrastructure projects across the Isle of Wight. That level of investment is fair and equitable from a national perspective, compared to investment elsewhere.
There's a cost of fortune, a letter from H. Fortescue, Bembridge. The new Costa coffee shop idea for the front foyer at St Mary's Hospital appears to be causing widespread annoyance among much of the St Mary's Hospital volunteer workforce, many of whom perhaps view the proposal as a real slap in the face after many, many years of their loyal and dedicated service. It's a fine balancing act, but if you are trying to quietly close down a much-loved but failing hospital, which over the years has been gradually brought to its knees by successive Isle of Wight NHS Trust administrations, then introducing initiatives that deliberately irritate important parts of the workforce, like for instance closing down the recently refurbished £200,000 Shackleton ward, is a clever way of hastening that objective. It is time to yet again reshuffle the pack, and this time install a trust which can be trusted to rebuild our hospital.
And the next one is written by Tom Bristow of Ryde, Natural Causes. Julie Hutchison of Extinction Rebellion Isle of Wight was reported in in the county press of the 27th of September to have said, October 7th will see the start of the October Rebellion, where we tell the truth about the situation we are in and the ecological emergency. The truth, I'm afraid, seems to be lost in the hubris of what the group claims to be a climate emergency. Seriously, how much do these environmental protesters know about natural, as opposed to caused by man, climate change? This natural change encompasses much, including volcanic. Look at the volcano going off in Stromboli, off Italy last summer, and sunspot activity, thermohaline ocean circulation, Heinrich events when icebergs break from glaciers, the Dansgaard-Oettinger rapid climate fluctuations, changes in the concentration of the greenhouse gases of methane and carbon dioxide in millennium timescales, and bursts of cosmic rays increasing cloud cover. Then there are the Milankovitch astronomical cycles of the Earth's orbits around the Sun, which have, over the past 2.5 million years, caused massive temperature oscillations. Finally, we have the man-made influence. So let's put things in perspective. Climate change has always happened. The proportion caused by man is minuscule compared to natural causes.
We'll now move on to Wight Memories. This is by Brian Greening. Video killed the radio star, Voices of the Past. Today, modern technology allows us to be aware of events that are happening throughout the world in a matter of hours, sometimes even minutes. However, within my lifetime, a time before the advent in most homes of the television, the primary source of information was the radio. And if you wish to see such things as the FA Cup final, the best you will get will be 2 minutes at the cinema on Pathé News. In those days, people knew just voices that came over the airwaves, as the whole family sat around an old wireless, often powered by a couple of small car batteries known as accumulators. Many programmes such as Dick Barton's Special Agent and Paul Temple, in which a slick detective who, with his wife Stevie, solved countless crimes, as well as that of the Adventures of Toy Town, had distinctive introductory music. The latter included characters such as Lionel Lamb and his friends, Dennis the Dachshund, Mr. Inventor, Ernest the Policeman, Mr. Grouser the Grocer, and the Mayor, who all lived in Toy Town. How many of the older generation can name the music that introduced those three programmes? That of Dick Barton's Special Agents, Paul Temple, and the Adventures in Toy Town. The answers can be found at the bottom of this article. The voice of Larry the Lamb was that of Derek McCulloch. This man enlisted into the armed services in 1917 and was injured at the Battle of the Somme. He went on to join the BBC and he commentated on the first Broadcast Cup final in 1927. He later, in 1933, became head of children's broadcasting and continued in that role until 1951. He became better known even later as Uncle Mac, who each Saturday played children's requests for their favourite records. Foremost amongst those was that of Sparky and his Magic Piano, The Runaway Train, Nellie the Elephant, and Bert Ives singing, "I know an old lady who swallowed a fly." They sadly do not write songs with such lyrics today. Valentine Dial was another voice. He had a distinctly sinister low voice and narrated crime and mystery stories in such programmes as The Man in Black and Appointment with Fear. It was being reminded of the death of James Alexander Gordon, however, in 2014, the man that read the football results each Saturday from 1974 for more than 40 years. That took me back to the days around 1952 when on a Wednesday evening I would sit with my father and fill in his football coupon. The aim was to select 8 football matches that would end in a draw. For this, on Littlewood's pools, the top prize each week would be 75,000, a fortune to a man who was only earning around £10 a week in those days. I would sit with him and study the games and finally enter my selections. The next morning he would leave 2 shillings and 8pence, which I had to take to Mr. Dawes' post office on Coppins Bridge and purchase half a crown postal order and a postage stamp, and ensured it was posted that day, so as to arrive in time for the matches played on Saturday. When Saturday arrived, my father was usually out working somewhere to supplement the family's income, so I was given strict orders to be by the radio at 5 o'clock when the programme Sports Report came on, and the predecessor of James Alexander Gordon, one John Webster, told the results in yet another distinctive voice. The newspapers always tabulated the matches in a column that left blank spaces for the scores to be entered as they were read out.
How different it all is today, when you know within seconds when a goal has been scored at any ground. Another radio star in my youth was a ventriloquist, a man by the name of Peter Brough, who went on the radio in 1944 with his wooden dummy Archie. Soon they were starring in a programme called Educating Archie, a programme that saw the beginning of many famous careers, such as those of Benny Hill, Tony Hancock, Bruce Forsyth and Max Bygraves. Archie's girlfriend was none other than a very young Julie Andrews. How good was Peter Brough as a ventriloquist? At the time, we never knew, but we certainly never saw his lips move. It was only in 1956, when the programme was transferred to television, that his shortcomings became apparent. Peter died in 1999, and 6 years later, his dummy, Archie, sold for a staggering £34,000. You also had Radio Luxembourg, which was obtainable on some radio sets, a station that the Germans commandeered during the Second World War, and it became a means of the man known as Lord Haw-Haw, who was in life better known as William Joyce, broadcaster of German propaganda. Joyce had left England in 1939 and fled to Germany. His introductory words at each broadcast were, "This is Germany calling," and he would proceed to tell listeners they had no chance of winning the war and should surrender. He was arrested at the German border with Denmark in 1945 and shot in the backside by troops who thought he was reaching for a gun. He was later tried as a traitor, found guilty and hung in Wandsworth prison in January 1946. This was all before I was old enough to wear short trousers, but I do recall around 1947 being able to listen to Radio Luxembourg to programmes such as The Adventures of Dan Dare, Space Pilot of the Future, The Ovaltinis, and Leslie Welsh, the Memory Man, who could answer any sporting question put to him. If anybody under the age of 70 has read this far, they must wonder, what world did we live in just after the war? If the radio did nothing else, it made you use your imagination. Oh, by the way, the 3 pieces of music were The Devil's Gallop, Coronation Scott, and The Parade of the Tin Soldiers.
And now move to an island, look around the harbour, so much has changed. Being an island, everything we need from the mainland has to reach us by boat. Today we are used to enormous lorries arriving at the ferry terminals and the trailers of articulated vehicles which are then stored in the yard, awaiting haulage to their island destination. The Southern Railway Ro-Ro car ferry to the island began in the late 1920s. Red Funnel started operating car ferries in 1948 and soon started carrying lorries to unload at East Cowes. Until the 1960s, most goods were still shipped in and out by motorised barges. These were run by firms including British Road Services, Island Transport Company and Vectis Transport. Many of these barges travel directly up to Newport, the capital of the island. The Newport brewery, Mew Langtons, had its own craft, as did the cement works at Dodner. Newport quays were thriving, with new warehouses and quays being built at around 1900 to the north of the railway bridge. The latest was the Jubilee stores. Many goods arrived on the barges in barrels, boxes or large sacks, which were transferred to the stores. Cranes on the buildings and quayside lifted the goods from the barges, and examples of those cranes can still be seen on the quay. Onward shipping was by motor lorry, steam lorry or horse and cart. During the Second World War, craft were busy bringing veneer to the plywood factory at the Folly and taking the finished product to build aircraft and torpedo boats. 6 vessels from the Medina took part in the Dunkirk evacuation. We are lucky in Newport because some of the older warehouses survive. C Street has excellent examples of warehouses dating from the 18th and 19th centuries. These have found new uses as accommodation and as key arts. The Bargeman's Rest was once the derrick store. The derrick was used to lift goods over the public road. The character of this part of Newport has been preserved, albeit without the barges. The first steam-driven craft were built for Shepherd Brothers in 1898 by J.S. Wight of Cowes. They soon replaced the sailing barges that had plied the river for centuries. Take a walk around the harbour at Newport. Imagine that river full of vessels loading and unloading goods. Listen in your mind to the noise of the dockers working. So much has changed.
And on to My View by Catherine James. We're witnessing a new bare arms race. As summer retreats, across the land the eager faces count down the days. Have you been naughty or have you been nice? It doesn't matter. That tubby red-faced man with luxuriant white hair will bestow upon us all gifts of unimaginable greatness. Oh, sorry, did you think I was talking about Father Christmas? No, I was referring to that other monomaniac fella triggered by our Victorian past, the Prime Minister Boris Johnson. There are 13 more sleeps until Brexit Day, kiddies. We know Mr. Johnson will get Brexit done because it said so on his mug. No, not the one blustering from under that artfully dishevelled barnet, but the ceramic one he held aloft while at the Conservative Party conference. We also know he means business, as he had his sleeves rolled up while jabbing at his laptop. I've worked in an office for nigh on 30 years, and I don't think I've ever seen any of my male colleagues' forearms. Operating a computer is not the same as, say, working a combine. Boris's cuffs could easily stay fastened at the wrist, without any danger of getting entangled in his MacBook's mechanism. Nonetheless, the rolled sleeves is a surprisingly powerful symbol. Since his electoral victory, the island's own MP, Bob Seeley, is often seen jacketless with shirt sleeves up to his elbows, particularly when being photographed talking with his constituents, possibly to demonstrate that he's a regular chap of the people. Knowing how competitive fellas can get, surely the bare arms race can only escalate. What next? A loosened tie? Strategic unbuttoning? Or maybe full-on bare-chested Putin? If exposing an untoned forearm can give the impression of being a man of action, imagine what being stripped to the waist could do for the Prime Minister's cachet. Entering the Brexit negotiations topless and chest-bumping Michel Barnier is surely the next logical step. Perhaps I should rein it in before I start suggesting naked wrestling as a way to resolve international conflict. Back in the land of the fully dressed, maybe the chaps could learn a more subtle thing or two about weaponising their wardrobe from Lady Hale, who, in her role as President of the Supreme Court, read out the ruling that Boris Johnson's advice to the Queen that Parliament should be prorogued was unlawful. While the nation hung on her wards, accessory watchers were all afluster about her enormous spider brooch. What could it mean? If Lady Hale was the spider, who was the fly? But even Lady Hale must defer to the ultimate signaller, Her Majesty the Queen. When she opened Parliament a year after the EU referendum, HRH was dressed head to toe in cornflower blue, finishing her look with a matching wide-brimmed hat enlivened by yellow-scented blue flowers. Top of the agenda for her speech that day was Brexit. You don't need a degree in semiotics to decide to decode that particular outfit. Happy Brexit, each and every one. Let's hope you get everything you wished for.
We'll now move on to what's on across the island. I'll read a couple out and then pass you back to Serena. Richard Stutt and the Sinfonetta, All Saints Church Ride, 7 p.m, Friday the 6th of December. Bookings now open. Visit www.ticketsource.co.uk/island concerts. East Wight, the Isle of Wight Prostate Cancer Support Group, in partnership with Ride Lions, will hold a free PSA blood testing day at Ride Academy tomorrow, Saturday, for men aged 45 to 85 years old. Appointments must be booked at www.isleofwightprostatecancersupportgroup.org.uk. What will we do without computers? Right. The Island Savoyards present Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the most phantasmorical stage musical in the history of everything. Shanklin Theatre, October the 24th to 27th at 7:30, 26th and 27th at 2:30. Tickets, adults £18, children £15, and the box office is a landline number 01983 868 000.
And these are all for Medina Theatre. From the Queen of Country to Carole King. A must-see for any country music fans out there, Medina Theatre welcomes the Country Superstars experience on Friday, November 22nd. As seen in London's West End and featured on Sky TV, the show promises Europe's leading Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers impersonators, as said by Kenny Rogers himself. This truly unique show is hosted by Sarah Jane, who has been performing as Dolly Parton for more than 25 years. Sarah Jane and award-winning vocal impersonator Andy Crost take the audience on a journey back through time, meeting some of the most influential icons who have shaped country music history. The show features Patsy Cline, Johnny Cash, Billy Joe Spears, Kenny Rogers, Willie Nelson, Tammy Wynette, Garth Brooks, John Denver, and Glenn Campbell. Each artist not only looks and sounds like the country star they portray, every detail is taken into consideration, from script, choice of songs, hair, makeup, and mannerisms, as well as professional costumes and props. The show also features the Tennessee All-Stars Band. And also Griff Rhys-Jones on Sunday 27th of October at 7:30, tickets £19. Griff is back and once again all over the place, touring the UK this autumn with his brand new full-length stand-up show. Following sell-out performances of his previous one-man entertainments, Jones and Smith and Where Was I?, and a hugely acclaimed tour of Australia and New Zealand, it's time to join one half of Smith and Jones, 1/4 of Not the 9 O'Clock News, and 1/3 of Three Men in a Boat, as he presents an evening of hilarious true stories, riffs, observations and details of his recent medical procedures. It's all guaranteed to be packed with wicked insights into the pains of celebrity, the vicissitudes of parenthood, and encounters with the great, the good, and even the royal. Yes, Griff is all over the place this year, so make sure not to miss him. And then there's the Dream Boys 2019 tour. The Dream Boys, the UK's most famous girls' night out, are back and hotter than ever with a brand new show and UK tour for 2019. The Dream Boys are without a shadow of a doubt the UK's most famous and successful show of this kind in history. Their breathtaking show spectacular has been perfectly created for hen nights, birthday parties, and girls' nights out with all your friends. If you're looking for the very best girls' night out in the UK, look no further than these incredible hunks. An action-packed 2-hour show from start to finish, these boys will literally have you begging for more. It's on Saturday the 2nd of November at 7:30. Tickets from £25.50 for over 18s only. And the Medina Tattoo on Sunday 3rd of November at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The return of the popular afternoon show featuring inspiring music, song and dance, including pipes and drums of Portsmouth and Hampshire bands, Medina Marching Band, Scottish Highland dancers and more. Presented by Wight Hot Pipes, the popular island band who put on their unique stage show at Glastonbury this year. That's in support of Wight Aid and Think Floyd. This extraordinary band, dubbed the Definitive Pink Floyd Experience, are renowned for their stunning celebration of the music of one of the world's greatest bands. The brand new show for 2019 will feature a complete performance of The Wall, as well as the whole range of classic Pink Floyd, from Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, and much more. Backed by an impressive laser light show, this exciting production will faithfully recreate all the atmosphere, visual magnitude, and musical excellence of Pink Floyd live on stage. That's on Saturday, the 9th of November at 7:30 p.m, and the tickets cost £23.50. And finally, Steve Parish Mad Tour. He's a champion motorcyclist and truck racer, television presenter, practical joker, or just plain survivor. Steve Parish has been called them all. Last year saw the publication of his latest hilarious autobiography, The Parish Times, which tracks his amazing journey over the last 4 decades through a roller coaster ride of emotions in surely the most dangerous and exhilarating sporting arena there is. Steve now brings the uncut version of The Parish Times to audiences. People who have already seen the show are returning to hear more. On Sunday, the 10th of November at 7:30 p.m, and tickets cost £20.
We've got some more entertainments coming up for you. Exciting festival attracts leading harpists to the island. Harpists from across the world will be performing at the 6th Annual Harp on Wight International Festival starting this week. This popular annual music festival kicks off with Harp Catcher, a harp-themed candle-lit dinner at Michelangelo's restaurant Ryde on Thursday. This year all other events will take place in Ryde Methodist Church, Garfield Road. The opening concert on Friday featuring Ira Lynn Jones, a Welsh harpist known for her creativity and originality. A concert featuring two leading international harpists, Claude Lucia Lamana from Italy and married Pugh Evans from Wales, will perform on the afternoon of Saturday, October the 26th, with multi-award winning Scottish harpist Ali Robinson on the evening. Highlights will include a concert by Irish harpist Graneen Hambley on Sunday, October the 27th, a performance by Austrian Monica Stadler on Monday, October the 28th, and the Sea and Sky concert on Tuesday, October the 29th, featuring Italian duo Harp and Hang to close the event that evening. Tickets can be booked by visiting the festival box office at Ryde Methodist Church, which is open between October the 25th and 29th. A new season of shows at Ventnor Exchange is underway. Those looking for something different to enjoy will find plenty to choose from this intimate theatre space, which has built up a loyal following over the past 5 years. It offers a refreshing programme of some of the best new plays and comedians in the UK, with many now regularly featuring on TV and radio. Ventnor Exchange on a Church Street is also home to a craft beer bar and record store, as well as weekly activities including foreign language lessons, a community choir and book club. For cheap tickets, subscribe as a friend for £20 per year and get 2-for-1 tickets to all events, which allows a night out for as little as £5 each. Highlights this season include a homage to 1970s seaside holidays and Hammer Horror in Seaside Terror by the puppetry collective Odd Doll. Other shows include BBC Radio 4 regulars John Osborne's Edinburgh Fringe hit, John Peel's Shed, acclaimed National Theatre Company Payne Plough's new play by Zaya Ahmed, I Wanna Be Yours, and an award-winning comedian poet Rob Orton. For more information and to book, visit ventnorexchange.co.uk. And the last bit of entertainment is Vegans Catered For at Island Show. A new vegan-themed event will take place to promote and celebrate a cruelty-free lifestyle. The Vegan Lifestyle Show is coming to Cowes Yacht Haven on Saturday, October the 26th from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m.
And some sporting news. Isle of Wight born Olympian earns place in Athletics Hall of Fame. And the headline, it's official, Kelly is GB sporting legend. The world of athletics gathered to celebrate as the island's Kelly Sotherton was induced into the England Athletics Hall of Fame. Island-born Kelly was one of 8 athletics legends to be honoured at this year's England Athletics Hall of Fame and National Volunteer Awards, held at the Hilton Birmingham Metropole on Saturday. The event celebrated the outstanding contribution of sporting stars, while also shining a spotlight on the invaluable contribution made by volunteers. Kelly, 42, was a multi-event specialist who achieved a 2006 Commonwealth Games heptathlon gold medal, as well as silver medal success in World and European Indoor Pentathlon and 3 Olympic bronze medals for heptathlon and 4x400 metres. Speaking on stage at the awards night, delighted Kelly said, "You never really remember the podium. You remember all the hard work and training. But it's great to look back at photos and think, I really did that."
Ches dominates in third pro fight. Ireland boxer Ches Nihil made it 3 pro fights out of 3 after he defeated a previously unbeaten Polish fighter in a bill-topping bout at South Sea Pier on Saturday. Ches, a Serbian soldier, won the 6th-round fight in the notorious professional boxing show against Tomasz Borovic, an opponent with an elite world level amateur kickboxing background. An accomplished former elite ABAE champion, Ches won each round and the bout comfortably with a final score of 60-55. Ches aims to confirm one more fight this year in December, with the expectation of moving up to 8-round fights in the new year.
Centenarians celebrate. A retirement home in Ryde celebrated 2 special ladies last week, with both of them turning 100. At Abbeyfield Lodge, Ruby Hatch and Molly Brading celebrated their birthdays together with friends, family and carers. Ruby, born in Newport, celebrated turning 100 on Monday, October the 14th, while Molly was prematurely celebrating her birthday, which is on November the 1st. Both were born in 1919, a year after the culmination of the First World War. Ruby's father served in Egypt, and Ruby herself became involved in the Second World War 20 years later, driving officers to their destinations. Molly was born in Cowes and moved to Ryde in 1921. She left school at 14 and went to work on the Isle of Wight Times newspaper before working at a photography shop, developing and printing photos. When the Second World War started, Molly worked at the cash desk at Home and Colonial, a grocery shop, while her future husband, William, served in the war.
Right, that's all for today, so it's goodbye from Paul.
And goodbye from Sonara.
Sight for Wight's short story writing competition is back, and this year's theme is The Sound of Christmas. Celebrity readers this year are me, Melvin Hayes, Michael Maloney, Adana Minghella and Kate Weston. Entry forms are available from Waterstones in the High Street, Newport, Dress for Less, 114 St James's Street, Newport, or Sight for Wight, 137 Carisbrooke Road, Newport. Entry fee is just £2 for under 18s and £5 for 18 plus. Closing date is Friday the 8th of November. For more information or to download your entry form, visit iwsb.org.uk or telephone Chris, good old Chris, on 522205.
Vectis Radio, FM 104.6, the heart of the island's community.
But we're going to go straight into it. Who have we got as our guest now?
We have the lovely young Chris here from Sight for Wight.
Good afternoon, Chris.
Good afternoon.
Now, you couldn't make it last time because you were unwell, I think.
Yes.
I think the car was unwell.
Yeah, my car was
unwell.
my car,
Oh,
which
yes.
made me unwell.
Yes,
And your pocket.
Yeah.
And my pocket.
Yes, it's when you get the mechanic and he goes, that'll be X, Y, Z, and you think, how much?
Yes, yeah.
Wow. Okay, but you've come here not to talk about your car, but to talk about what's going on at Sight for Wight.
Definitely, yes. A few things to tell you today.
Yeah, well, please do.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, can we start with a murder mystery event that we
I think we start with a murder.
We start with a murder.
Yeah. You ever watch that Taggart? There's been a murder.
There's been a murder. Yes. Yeah. That was Taggart, wasn't it?
Yeah.
On the 31st of October, Halloween, strangely enough,
Spooky.
we, Sight for Wight, are organising a murder mystery event we are calling Murder at Millbrook House.
That kind of gives away where it is then.
It is at Millbrook House, 137 Carisbrooke Road, Newport. And really, we have tickets are selling. We've only got 40 tickets, so
Oh, right.
yeah. So it's we've only got about 14 left.
That's good.
So
Right.
we've done really well.
Yeah.
Just very briefly, it costs £10, and included in the price of the £10, you get a simple 2-course supper, glass of wine, coffee, and mints.
Mints as well.
And mints as well.
You are spoiling us.
No expense
And do
spared.
you get murdered?
Well, yes, somebody will.
We've been to a couple of murder mysteries, and they are good fun.
Yes.
They are really good fun if you keep your brain straight, because they're not obvious. They're
No.
never obvious.
No, they're not. And I have to say, we've been very lucky that Hannah Pereira, I think you probably
Oh, we know Hannah, yes.
know, she's basically sort of getting it all organised and doing
That's
the
good.
script and getting the actors.
Good.
I'm in it. I'm one of the actors.
You're
as
in
well.
it.
Yes. So-
I didn't take you for a thespian.
Oh, do you know, I
He
10
often
years.
thesps,
I was at Shankton Theatre for 10 years, many years ago.
All right, there we are.
Doing all sorts of things. But anyway, I digress.
You do. So that's. Will you just give the date of that again, please?
It's the 31st. It's a Thursday, the 31st October, Halloween. It starts at 6:30. So if anyone would like to come along and see how we get on with it, say it's our first, then please can you give me a call on 5220205, or you can email me fundraising at iwsb.org.uk.
Okay,
Brilliant,
and there's
yeah.
a bit of parking at Millbrook House.
Yeah, there's parking. We'll have someone out there to help you with the vehicles. But
And yes, it's in Carisbrooke Road, but no, you can't get at it from Carisbrooke Road.
well, no, not by car. You can't.
No, you can. Yeah, you can go through that funny little door in the
You
wall.
can, which you have to be buzzed in. But if you are interested and you want to come along by car, you access via Castle Road.
Yes,
Yes.
that's the car park there. So that sounds like a good event.
Yes,
Does,
Now you've got something else you want to talk to us about as well, haven't you?
I do.
I'm going to play this first because I think people need to hear this first, and then we'll go into some details.
Sight for Wight's short story writing competition is back, and this year's theme is The Sound of Christmas. Celebrity readers this year are me, Melvin Hayes, Michael Maloney, Dana Minghella, and Kate Weston. Entry forms are available from Waterstones in the High Street, Newport, Dress for Less, 114 St James's Street, Newport, or Sight for Wight, 137 Carisbrooke Road, Newport. Entry fee is just £2 for under 18s and £5 for 18 plus. Closing date is Friday the 8th of November. For more information or to download your entry form, visit iwsb.org.uk or telephone Chris, good old Chris, on 522205.
Well, that kind of says it all, doesn't it?
It does. Good old Chris.
Yes, good old Chris. So you are running again the short story competition.
Yeah, this is year 4.
Is it really? Oh, gosh, I
Yeah.
suppose it is, yes.
Yeah.
And it's gathering momentum. There's been a lot of interest this year, so I'm hoping we're going to get a bumper amount of
Good.
entries from
Yeah.
budding authors.
And
You'd hope, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
now, as I said, the forms are available at Waterstones and Dress for Less,
Yes.
which is not far from Moonspoons.
yeah, virtually opposite.
And, of course, from the Sight for White offices at Millbrook House.
Yes, yeah.
And I can see that I know for a fact this is all done properly because you submit your story and then it goes anonymously,
Yes.
so no one knows who you are, to a panel of secret judges.
Yes.
Nobody knows who they are except you.
Yes.
And you won't tell anybody.
No.
Even under pain of death.
I know, he won't tell anybody. And then what happens is the winners are announced at the event in December.
Yes, yeah, we will have an awards ceremony on the 9th of December. It's a Monday. And again, doors open at 6:30. The ceremony will start at 7 o'clock, where we will be announcing the winners. We also have a little more entertainment this year.
Ooh.
So we have got, I can tell you who we've got.
Go on then, yes, please.
Go for
We've
it.
got Medina Community Choir.
All right, yes.
Yeah. We've got Huxley Magician.
Of course.
Oh,
course.
always good value, Huxley.
Is
Yes.
great entertainment. And Hannah Pereira is going to sing for
That's
us.
good.
Good, yes, she's got
Yeah.
a nice voice.
Yeah, so we're really looking forward to it. So so even if you haven't entered the competition, if you want to come along for some entertainment,
good evening.
Yeah, it's a good evening.
Yeah.
It's free to come along.
Yeah.
There's a bar there
At the
so-
Riverside Centre, there's bar.
Is
at
gonna
the
be a
Riverside
raffle?
Centre. There will be a
There's
raffle.
always a raffle.
Yes, yeah.
And you'll be selling merch as well, no doubt.
we will hopefully be selling some merchandise as well. Some of the
Yeah.
CDs of the
Yeah, and the glasses, the sunglasses. Or
Yeah, we might have some sunglasses. Probably won't sell too many pairs this time of year, but we have got our pens that light up and our keyring torches.
Oh,
which
right.
they are fantastic. Can I just
Yeah.
say, £3 for our keyring torches. I've got 2 sets of keys. I've got my work keys and my home keys, and I have a torch on both sets of keys. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Excellent value for money.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
that is, what's the closing date again?
The closing date for the competition is Friday the 8th of November.
Josie, you're going to go in for it?
Oh, yes, I will.
You're going to write a story?
Yes.
Oh, I think that's a good idea. And it's a good evening. You enjoy the evening, even if you didn't win. It's a great evening.
It's a great atmosphere.
Sometimes Maggie and I, they're making fools of ourselves.
Oh, no, you two are fantastic, because, I mean, you've supported us. This is year 4. You've helped us every year, and I can't thank you both enough. You're great. So
even that year we froze our whatsits off in the Minster.
Didn't we just?
But we won't go into that again.
No.
Can the entry forms be downloaded?
They can be downloaded from our website.
So you haven't actually got to go anywhere to physically
No, iwsb.org.uk.
Okay.
Now, if you're listening and you've got kids at school, tell them about it and get it circulated into the schools as well. So we'd like to get the schools involved.
Please do.
Or if your child is home educated, I know there's a home education Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
Which is worth putting it on, I think.
We were at Gatton Lake, if I can give them a mention.
Yes, of course.
And we did a little talk about the short story writing competition last week. So we're hoping for some entries from some of the children.
A school
there.
I know well, Gatton Lake.
Oh, really?
Yes,
they were absolutely delightful.
Lovely little school.
Yeah, the head teacher was great.
Actually, it's not little, but it's a very modern school.
It is very modern. Yes,
So they'll do well in there, I'm sure.
Yes.
So any other schools? Do you want to be beaten by Gatton Lake? Well, if you don't, then get in there and get writing.
Yeah.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Standards usually very, very high.
That is very, very high indeed.
Yeah.
Actually, some of the previous entries, and we should say the winning entries, assuming it's the same as last year, will be played out on Vectis Radio over the Christmas period.
Thank you.
In fact, all the entries will if we get them edited up in time.
Yeah.
But the winners particularly.
will definitely be played because they get recorded first.
Yes.
And we shall see what happens.
And I believe you'll invite the winners in, is it?
We will invite the winners in if they wish to come in and talk about their writing experience. The only thing I'd say is some of the youngsters, they've got some very, very frightening turns of story writing. They think, wow, that's eerie.
Yeah, very vivid imaginations.
Yeah, very vivid imagination indeed. Well, that's great, Chris. I hope it does well. We will be talking to you again soon, no doubt.
Yes, thank you.
Nearer the time.
Your support matters. We operate thanks to the support of local businesses. If you would like to advertise on Vectis Radio, FM 104.6, contact our team today. Marketing at vectisradio.fm.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Good evening. The car parked slap bang in the middle of the pavement. The hazard blind people have had to put up with for decades. But is Scotland now showing the way? While in Wales...
When they're doing the deliveries.
In the morning? What time is that?
6, between 5 and 9.
Yeah. You just get a lot of racket?
Yeah.
Just makes it difficult to sleep.
The man who's been sharing the noises of the night with the rough sleepers of Cardiff. Last Thursday, the Scottish Parliament passed a bill which will gladden the hearts of many visually impaired people. It bans vehicles from parking on the pavement. This has been the subject of many campaigns over the years by organisations representing blind people. Some local authorities throughout the UK have bylaws placing restrictions on parking on pavements, but enforcement has always been patchy at best. This is the first nationwide ban in the UK. Living Streets is one of the groups that's been pressing for this for over a decade alongside disability organisations. Joe Irvin is their chief executive. He told me more about what the ban covers.
What it says is that it will be an offence for a vehicle to park on the pavement unless there is a clear indication, a clear signage to show that it's a designated space for that. So in nearly all cases, there will be a ban right across Scotland.
I mean, just what might be designated spaces where it would be OK for them to park?
If you look at London, where there's been a ban on pavement parking since the 1970s, it's the one part of the UK where that has been in place. What they do is they mark off places. What we're very keen to see is if they do mark off a place, it's only if it's a necessary provision and that there is space left on the pavement for people to get by, including people, for example, in a wheelchair or with a guide dog.
One of the problems has always been enforcement, so that, for example, you wouldn't know there was a parking ban in London if you walk around it, as I have done over the years.
Well, it's a bit better in London than the rest of the country, but you're right, enforcement's an issue. I recently saw a lorry completely blocking a pavement next to Moorfields Eye Hospital, which is almost unbelievable. Somebody would be as inconsiderate as to do that, as mindless to do it. And I think drivers just sometimes don't realise what a problem it is. They don't think. And so I think part of what we're seeking in Scotland, and hopefully if this is followed in the rest of the UK, is education of drivers to really understand the problem that they're causing, that people might be forced to step out into traffic because their pavement passage is blocked.
But are there any specific assurances that this law will be treated any differently than in other parts of the UK, particularly as far as enforcement's concerned?
Well, we're going to work with the Scottish Government to do the guidance on this, which is coming up, and so are many groups who particularly represent people with disabilities. Guide dogs have worked with us on this for years. I think because it's a nationwide ban in Scotland, it's really quite different. It's really been publicised. People know about this. People know it's happening, and very optimistic that there'll be a big push to make people understand about this in Scotland.
What about penalties, Joe?
So the penalties in London are £70 for an offence, but I think it's not the penalty, it's just the likelihood of being caught, if you like, that is the thing that puts people off. So a bit of education so people understand they don't do it in ignorance, but also some proper enforcement. The key to that, actually, is the police are so busy on other things, it's very hard to get them to enforce this. And what we think you need is local authorities empowered, so local authority traffic wardens, if you like, to look after this. Then we'll get better enforcement, we think.
Now, you haven't got everything you wanted here. There are exemptions. Tell me about those.
Well, the one that we're most concerned about is there's an exemption for deliveries, where delivery vehicles can stop on the pavement for up to 20 minutes. You can imagine people might abuse that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the question, isn't it? How are you going to prove that somebody's been there? There'll be all sorts of arguments about when they arrived and how long they've been there, etc.
True, and also, they shouldn't be there in the first place. So if there was a designated, bay or whatever for deliveries, that's one thing, and that's okay, and everybody would understand that. But just to turn up and go, oh yeah, I'm doing a delivery, is not really on. So we supported amendments to this. They weren't successful, but we'll keep working on that, and we'll keep working in the guidance along with groups that represent people with disabilities in particular to try and improve on that and close that loophole in the future.
Why do you think it's taken so long to get something done about a nuisance which irritates so many people and, of course, can be dangerous, very dangerous?
Yeah, that's a very difficult question to answer. There's a lot of inertia to get over in this sort of area. I mean, we had to campaign along with guide dogs. We had private members' bills running a few years ago. We had one just to show that Scotland had the authority to do what it's done this last week and introduce something for Scotland. We got an amendment to the Scotland Bill in 2016 to just clarify that Scotland had the power to do this. So in transport, you often have to kind of push uphill on this. And I guess at the bottom of it, politicians have a fear of a backlash from motorists. And it's one that I think is very little founded, because if you look at all the polling we've done, or Guide Dogs, or the British Parking Association, the Local Government Association, or the Scottish Government, actually most people support this.
There are planning issues as well, though, aren't there? Because people will say, well, there are so few places we can park. That's what makes people do it.
Part of this fundamental problem is that in the 1970s we had 20 million vehicles registered in the UK. We now have 38 million. So it's kind of not surprising that there are pressures on parking. Our position is that pavements are for people, and people with vehicles are going to have to find ways to park in a proper way, and a way that doesn't obstruct people from getting by on the pavement.
Now, one of the big concerns of visually impaired people is shared spaces. What's your view on that?
I'm not going to say there are no places where it can work. You know what it depends on? It depends on how busy the places are, and it depends on how wide it is and what the space is and what the design is. But critically, those shared spaces which are shared with motor vehicles rarely work, in my opinion. So I think it was right for the government to put a pause on shared space development, as it was called, and they've been pausing on that until they can get better guidance on it. So I can see places, maybe in rural areas or not so busy, where there are maybe bicycles and people walking side by side, but I think most places where you're sharing with motor vehicles, it's very difficult if you can't see properly.
Joe Irvine, Chief Executive of Living Streets UK. The ban comes into force in 2021, so until then, it's still mind how you go. Now, talking of campaigning, Hugh Huddies is a voice we hear from time to time on In Touch, but usually in his role as a lobbyist on the rights of blind and partially sighted people. But his latest venture into radio is a far more personal one. A documentary called Hearing Homelessness, broadcast here on Radio 4 and still available on BBC Sounds. It's a haunting, immersive soundscape of what people living on the streets hear at night when the rest of us are warm and secure indoors. Hugh told me how his documentary had come about.
I've always been someone who listens to the world. I'm really interested in everyone's relationship to sound and what it means to us. And I have, over the years, tripped over quite a few people on the street. It just happens if you're visually impaired. You're shorelining along a wall and then you come across someone's feet. And it's an awkward moment. I think we can all identify that moment.
Well, I've done it myself, and walking along Regent Street in London quite often, and I almost got to know a few of them. So I think I see where you're going with this, but carry on.
Yeah, and I get chatting to people because when it's raining and it's cold, there's that moment where you're thinking, should I give some money? And I heard something from one of the big homelessness charities that said, no, give some time. And I took that to heart, and I sat down and just got chatting to people, just realised you can do that. And I think that was the moment of liberation for me. It was a moment when I suddenly realised I could be a useful person in society by being useful to other people. Motorway flyovers are constructed in concrete sections. How could the drivers know? They're hermetically sealed, unaware of the sound their tyres are making. Unaware. Someone below may be sleeping.
And it is about sounds, isn't it? I mean, you're really starting right from the beginning of the documentary.
Right from the beginning. That's the sound of me sitting underneath a Bristol flyover, and it's the sound of cars passing over sort of concrete sections of these huge bridges. And that's a place where one of the people I met, Jamila, slept for days without even a blanket. So I went there and recorded the sound of it to see what sort of effect does it have on me emotionally. And that the programme is a lot about emotion.
What was your goal? What were you trying to achieve with this?
I'm trying to bring everyone into that sound world of what it's like if you're homeless and street homeless. And that sound is, so much of the sounds we hear on radio is about sounds to enjoy. So wildlife and things that are beautiful and things we can all appreciate. I wanted to look at sound from the other side of the coin. So sound when it is perhaps dangerous, when it's emotionally difficult, and when you're immersed in it and it actually defines your life.
I used the word immersive in the introduction to it, but and that was very deliberate, wasn't it? You recorded it in a particular way. Can you explain?
Yes, it's recorded in binaural audio, which is very high quality and very tiny microphones that you put in your ear. So instead of listening to the sound through earbuds, which lots of people will be used to using, they're actually microphones, and they record from the perspective of your own hearing. So it enables you to record as if you're, there. I mean, that might sound, what's going on here? If you put headphones on, then it means that the little speaker that the headphone is made of is pretty well exactly where the microphone recorded the sound, which means the signals arrive at your ear and cause your brain to interpret the sounds as if you're actually there. And that's the powerful aspect of binaural or surround sound recording techniques.
I was going to ask you, in the encounters you'd had beforehand, before you did the programme, I was wondering how you were treated, this person who came along and trampled through all their small worldly goods and, fell over them.
Yeah, I accidentally kicked somebody's money box over once. You might have done that yourself.
I've gone right through it.
I felt so bad about doing that, and I was bent down to try and pick the money up, and someone passing me said, "Don't bother doing that." And I thought, what on earth is happening to us? I'm trying to help someone. And I thought that, this is an interesting way of just sort of overcoming my own visual impairment and being seen by other people as constantly sort of just struggling along all the time. And I took this as an opportunity just to turn into someone who's useful, someone who's interesting to other people. I don't think being visually impaired makes you uniquely a good fit to doing this kind of stuff. But I found it seemed to, and I heard from someone, they said, the thing about your white stick is it's very disarming. We don't feel threatened by you, so we feel we can talk to you. And I think that really does come out in the programme. I had conversations that were so intimate with people I'd never met before, and I think it helped the programme speak about these people in their lives. It let me in.
You know what, I think one obviously your body knows that, and that's why it shakes itself into a way from what they do. But the body, it does it without you even bloody realising, like, don't it?
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
The body's on edge.
Yeah. Like, you go into a deep sleep, your body's like, I won't get out of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
You mentioned sound, and people perhaps think of it as something that you will be good at. And, it's an obvious medium for you to work in. Is that true, I guess?
I hear that a lot. And I have to say, you'll know this, Peter, as well, that 99.9% of anyone I've ever worked with in the world of sound is not blind. So it can't be true. So, of course, it's, someone looking for a quick way of saying, oh, he can't see, therefore do sound, do radio, that'll be good for you. It didn't actually go in my life like that. I think talking is something which I am naturally good at, but then again, everyone else I know is too. So I think what was unique about being visually impaired was that disarming quality. And I think also I couldn't see people's facial expressions. So perhaps I just motored on with the conversation, even if they were giving me, please don't talk to me about this. And I carried on, but I did it in a disarming way. And they just probably told me things that perhaps they ordinarily wouldn't, or felt, maybe he is interested. And I really was deeply interested in finding out what their auditory experience was of living on the streets.
How do you think you've avoided the suspicion of, voyeurism in a way, curiosity about them for its own sake?
I never got a sense of doing that. I have, relatives of mine work in homelessness as well. So, and I've worked for a charity as well. So
because it must happen, they must get some of that, people waving microphones in front of them and wanting a quick...
They did. We were actually in the wake of a BBC documentary about homelessness, and that did actually cause us a lot of difficulty because, unfortunately, another TV team had gone and made a documentary about it, a news piece about it, and it hadn't been made that long before. And so a lot of people just refused to speak to me. They said, we're not doing it again. And that's where I had to say, I'm a sound artist. I'm not a news person. I'm just coming to talk to you about your life and about mine as well. I spoke to them as much about my life as they did about theirs. So I think the element of voyeurism didn't apply really.
And that distinction that you made as sound artists, they got that on the whole, did they?
Yeah, I think it's just because I wasn't from the police and I wasn't from news. I wasn't that what you might see as establishment. I think as soon as you say you're an artist, I think people do understand that you're not there to exploit them.
How did you get them to open up? Because you did get a lot of revelations and that they sounded very relaxed talking to you.
Yeah, that was partly because sitting on a park bench or on the street, time just wishes past. I don't know how this happens. I mean, Peter, you'd be shocked at this, but you probably have to get an interview done inside 10 minutes with people. I think the clock had run on to 3 hours with some of these people. That's why we've got so many hours, literally not far off 3 days of audio.
And did you come back to some people because they were telling you an interesting story, or...?
That was really hard. What I discovered was people street homeless, they recognise you, and the stories can often be very different the next time you meet. So there's a lack of coherence, and that's what making this programme actually very difficult, because the experience, memory seems to, this is what we discovered, memory seems to be bound in the chaos of the street, and therefore memory is chaotic as well. People's memory of what happened to them within the last month even is quite chaotic, and so it's not the same sort of biographical memory you get talking to someone else.
And presumably, to be frank, some of them will be on using various substances. Some will have had a fair bit to drink.
Yes, I think probably most people I spoke to were on a very strong substance, yes, of one kind or another. My responsibility that I felt was not to walk away.
And on the specific business of the sounds, were they the sounds you expected? What were the surprises, perhaps, that you got?
It's that beauty can be inside out. Something like listening to a street cleaning machine, which those of us who are visually impaired, when they come up, they're frightening. Frightening is it's a general word. Intimidating. They disorientate you. You think, has the driver of this thing seen me? They immediately generate a sense within me of, I need to really work out what to do now, because this could be a messy incident if I don't judge this right. Now that's something we experience every day, and I was interested to know that I shared that experience with people who are homeless, because if you're asleep and you hear something like that coming, and especially if your senses are dulled by having to sort of medicate is a term people often use against the cold, because they're sleeping in such unpleasant conditions that your reaction times are not the same, and you have the sound of these machines around you at 5 o'clock in the morning and breaking glass. I mean, I've not heard so much breaking glass in all my life going out recording this. The streets are alive with the sound of smashing bottles at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I didn't realise that could have a kind of interest to me. And it made me realise that this is the physical manifestation of the difficulty that people are actually facing.
And the sound was a big part of what people talked to you about, wouldn't you? I'd have expected people to be talking about the cold and the fact that, as you said, they are quite unpleasant conditions and so forth. But they talked to you a lot about the sounds that they heard.
I have to let you into a secret. That was about after 2.5 hours of talking. Most people don't feel comfortable about talking about sound. And I think that aspect of the approach we took to making this programme, when I'd pitched this programme to the BBC, if I'd only realised that getting people to talk honestly about sound was a really difficult thing to do.
But I'm feeling really surprised at that. What? Explain a bit.
I think most people don't understand. When you say, what's it like on the street, what do you hear? The conversation says, well, it's horrible. And that's it. And so you need to develop a relationship with that person, talking about their life and about what's important to them, to be able to say why it is broken bottles is horrible, or why the sound of street machines at 5 a.m. is affecting them. And it's because they're trying to get some sleep then, because that's actually when the light's coming in the summertime and when they feel safer to sleep. And it's actually the worst time to be trying to get to sleep, when the clubs have emptied out. So getting people to talk about that stuff, you have to get quite into a conversation. And I didn't want to just talk superficially about sound, because I think that would have been voyeuristic.
What's your lasting impression of the experience?
I think my lasting experience is that I'm only just starting to understand how you can use sound to understand other people's lives. And the visual impairment I've got, I suppose I kind of always knew it, but I think if it helps you disarm people, enter into conversations that are more emotional, more about their lives, and it enables you to kind of get an understanding of the world from someone else's perspective, but you both share this relationship with what you hear. And I do feel, I'm really pleased about this, that I managed to escape from the stereotypes. I don't feel I got ensnared in any of the stereotypes about being a blind person. I genuinely feel I've been able to make a radio programme with the BBC and with Kathy that genuinely helps me and hopefully others to understand what it's like if you're homeless.
But you do feel that your visual impairment actually helped you to get that material?
I don't think it was the visual impairment, in a sense. I think it was the way I've lived my life around the visual impairment that has given me the skills to do that.
Is there something you've taken away from this experience, something you perhaps learnt about yourself, maybe.
Yeah, I think so many things. I think it's this relationship about being in the environment. You don't have to be able to see it to be fully in it. The physical and sound relationship that I was able to be within, and being guided through it by people who were homeless, who weren't visually impaired, it did in many ways help release me from this idea that you do have to be able to see to have a 100% deep experience of the world. I think I forgot about not being able to see, and that is a very amazing thing to experience. And it's wonderful because everyone I've spoken to about the programme seems to have forgotten that I can't see as well.
It didn't get mentioned much. Are we being annoying by mentioning it at all? we can't not mention it on In Touch.
Yes, you are, yes. Well...
It wasn't used to publicise it, that's what I'm saying.
I didn't want it to be, actually. It was in the BBC blurb, and I realised there's some things you can't stop. But I didn't want to get draconian about it because I thought, well, I'm quite relaxed about it now. I'm not so worried about it. But, yeah, I didn't want it to be about me and not being able to see. I just wanted to get out there as somebody interested and wanting to know about other people's experience of life. And I think all the sight loss stuff that I've experienced, it has equipped me to be able to ask questions beyond that first answer. The answer which is, oh, yeah, I'm okay. And you don't want to say, but are you really okay, meaning that you're not. I think it has helped me ask another question in a slightly different way. Yeah, but isn't it slightly different? Isn't it, when you're trying to sleep on the street, are the hours of sleep are just going to be different, aren't they? And then you find out, yeah, they are, and what's affecting. Yeah, I feel less visually impaired now. And I think perhaps that's a sign of having gone and done something different to what I was used to doing.
Hugh Huddy's documentary is called Hearing Homelessness, and it's a marvellous listen. And that's it for today. We welcome your comments. As always, you can leave a voice message on 0161 836 1338, email in touch at bbc.co.uk or go to our website, that's bbc.co.uk/in touch, where you can find an extended podcast of tonight's programme with more of our interview with Hugh Huddy. From me, Peter Wight, producer Lee Kumatat and the team, goodbye.
Scaffolding news for Friday the 18th of October 2019. The list of known footway obstructions for works including scaffolding, hoarding, also details of skips, cranes and cherry pickers. We are unable to include end dates as many are extended on a week-by-week basis. Cows area. Current scaffolds. Cameos, Bath Road Cows. Current hoarding, Jolliffe Chandlery, Shooters Hill Cows. Current skips, 12 Oakfield Road East Cows, 29 Solent View Road Gurnard, and pending cherry picker, Cows High Street, Cows, putting up Christmas lights.
Newport area, current scaffolds, 4 St James Street, Newport. Phones for you, 50 High Street, Newport. 146 High Street, Newport. 36 Key Street, Newport. 11 High Street, Newport. 48 to 49 High Street, Newport. Current cherry picker, Laura Ashley, High Street and St Thomas's Square, Newport. Pending cherry picker, God's Providence, St Thomas's Square.
Ride area. Current scaffolds. Flats 31 to 36 Marymead Close Ride. Boots 170 High Street Ride. 79 Park Road, scaffold in Player Street Ride. 16A Warwick Street Ride. Hill House, the Mall Brading, 8 and 9 East Street Ride, 171 High Street Ride next to Boots, current skips, 14 Ray Street Ride, 2 Cornwall Street Ride and adjacent 59 Binstead Lodge Road ride.
Sandown and Shanklin area. Current scaffolds 42 Fitzroy Street, Sandown. Sandown Saver Centre, Albert Road, Sandown. Current hoardings Premier Inn 1 to 9 Esplanade, Sandown. Current mobile crane Premier Inn 1 to 9 Esplanade, Sandown. Ventnor area. Current scaffolds corner of Trinity Road and Madeira Road, Ventnor, 1 Boniface Road and into Trinity Road, Ventnor. Current skips the Glebe, Spanners Close, Chale.
West Wight area. Current scaffolds Hursts, 9 School Green Road, Freshwater. Current skip Runnymede, Queen's Road, Freshwater. Hurstleigh, the Broadway, Totland. Current hoarding Elm Cottage, Omani Road, Yarmouth. Vehicle crossings under construction 4 the Fairway Lake, Brickfields Cottage, Newnham Road, Ryde. 57 Foreland Road, Bembridge. Plots 1 and 2, 109 to 117 Newnham Road, Ryde. 10 Inglewood Park, Ventnor. Fullings Mills, Westover, Calbourne. 6A Hollow Glade, Godshill. 47A Moor View, Godshill. And 40 Newport Road, Cowes.